by a respected Oxford researcher, proof that the Yeti, the abominable snowman of the Himalayas, is in fact real and its descendants are alive.
In 2017, scientists made a discovery about the Yeti. It was so shocking it forced them to rewrite everything we thought we knew. DNA evidence confirmed the creature is real, but not the kind of monster anyone imagined. For over a century, we've been looking at this mystery backwards, and what researchers found in the Himalayas changes everything. In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 shocking facts that prove Yetis are real, but they're not the monsters we grew up believing in. Most people think there's just one type of Yeti roaming the mountains. Wrong. According to Tibetan folklore, there are actually 3 distinct species, and each one is more terrifying than the last. First, there's the Rangshim-Bombo, the small one, but don't let that fool you. This guy stands between 3 to 5 feet tall with reddish-brown fur. Imagine a muscular, hairy human child with the strength of a gorilla. That's your friendly neighborhood, small Yeti. Then we have the Chuti, standing around 8 feet tall. This beast lives between 8,000 and 10,000 feet above sea level, higher than most commercial airplanes fly. It's perfectly adapted to survive in conditions that would kill a human in minutes. The largest species is called the Nyalmo, which is about 15 foot tall, covered in jet black fur with the strength to snap trees like toothpicks. Local Tibetans describe it as the most aggressive and dangerous of all 3 species. In 2013, scientists from Oxford and Lausanne universities did something incredible. They collected hair samples from alleged Yeti specimens and ran DNA tests. What they found changed everything. The results? The samples matched the DNA of an ancient polar bear that lived between 40,000 and 120,000 years ago. But here's the kicker. These bears were found in the Himalayas, thousands of miles from where polar bears should exist. But some scientists still believe these could be hybrid bears, the result of polar bears mating with brown bears in the high mountains. Imagine a creature with the size and power of a polar bear, but adapted to survive in rocky, mountainous terrain instead of ice. Professor Brian Sykes, who led the research, said this discovery suggests that what people have been calling Yeti might actually be a previously unknown species of bear that's been hiding in the world's most remote mountains for thousands of years. But if you think mysterious DNA is shocking, wait until you hear about the footprints that have left scientists completely baffled. In 1951, mountaineer Eric Shipton took photographs that would haunt scientists for decades. He captured crystal-clear images of footprints in the snow at 20,000 feet above sea level. These weren't normal footprints. They were huge, about 13 inches long. But the real mystery was in the toes. The print showed 2 big toes and 3 small ones all bunched together. No animal we know has feet like that. Not humans, not bears, not apes. That strange toe pattern made scientists wonder if they were looking at something completely unknown. In 2008, a Yeti expert named Jeffrey Meldrum studied the models of those strange footprints. What he found was shocking. One of the big toes looked like it had a condition where the toe grows much larger than normal. Even stranger, the way the toe lined up was just like the foot of a great ape, like a chimp or gorilla. But the size didn't make sense. It was way too big for any ape or human on Earth. It looked like the footprint of a creature that shouldn't exist. Things got even stranger back in 1944. A man named C.R. Cook came across footprints that measured a massive 14 inches from heel to toe. What stood out was the big toe. It was set off to the side, almost like a human thumb, but it was part of a foot. His wife put her sunglasses next to the big toe so people could see just how big they were, and those photos are still being studied today. These prints hinted at something terrifying, a creature that might have had the clever grip of a human, but the size and power of something far stronger. It was like staring at evidence of an animal that shouldn't exist. And just when you think the footprints are shocking enough, the real twist comes from the strange story behind the name Yeti itself. Everyone calls it the abominable snowman, but that name only exists because of a translation mistake. The word Yeti actually comes from a Tibetan phrase that means rocky bear. Locals weren't talking about a snowman or some mythical monster. They were describing something bear-like living high in the mountains. The big mix-up came in 1921. A journalist named Henry Newman was writing about the creature and tried to translate the Tibetan word meto, which actually means man-bear snowman. But instead of sticking with the real meaning, he called it filthy. And when that didn't sound scary enough, he swapped it for the word abominable. That single choice changed everything, turning a misunderstood animal into a monster in the eyes of the world. For more than 100 years, the world has been repeating the wrong name. While newspapers were selling copies with headlines about the abominable snowman, the people who actually lived in the Himalayas were still calling it what they always had, a kind of bear. They had been giving us the answer for generations, but no one outside their culture was listening. And if a mistranslation was enough to rewrite the Yeti's identity, wait until you hear about the religious ceremonies that prove this creature has been part of human culture for thousands of years. This isn't just a campfire story. In several monasteries across Tibet and Nepal, monks preserve what they claim are Yeti scalps, hands, and bones. These aren't hidden away. They're displayed proudly and used in religious ceremonies. The most famous is the Yeti scalp at Kumjung Monastery, which has been highly respected for centuries. But here's what's truly shocking. According to Tibetan Buddhism, the Yeti isn't considered a monster at all. It's viewed as a spiritual guardian, a protector against evil spirits. Some old Buddhist writings even describe the Yeti as more than just an animal. They say it was a creature smart enough to follow Buddhist teachings, which made it spiritually higher than ordinary animals. There's a group of people in the Himalayas called the Lepcha, and for thousands of years, they've worshipped a being they call the glacier god, which they believe is linked to the Yeti. This wasn't something made up recently. It's a tradition that goes back long before outsiders ever came to the mountains. Whole communities built their spiritual life around this creature. They made art, held ceremonies, and treated it as part of their religion. And here's the key point. You don't build a religion around something unless you truly believe it's real. But if ancient religious worship seems unbelievable, wait until you discover the shocking government conspiracy that proves world leaders take the Yeti existence seriously. Back in 1959, the Yeti wasn't just a mountain story. Even governments were acting like it was real. The U.S. government actually wrote 3 official rules for any Americans going to Nepal to look for the creature. Rule 1, you had to get a permit from Nepal before you were allowed to search for a Yeti. Rule 2. You weren't allowed to harm the Yeti unless it attacked you first. Rule 3. Any news about finding a Yeti had to be cleared by Nepal's government before it went public. These weren't just guidelines. They were real government rules. Break them and you could cause an international problem. It gets even crazier. In that same year, famous actor James Stewart secretly carried what people claimed was a Yeti hand from India to London, hiding it in his luggage. This wasn't some random tourist. It was a Hollywood star risking trouble to move alleged Yeti remains across countries. When governments write official rules and celebrities are rumored to smuggle Yeti parts, it means people in power believe something real was out there. Nobody creates international laws for fairy tales. And if that sounds wild, just wait. The number one fact about the Yeti will completely change how you see this story. Remember when we talked about how scientists were still testing Yeti DNA to figure out if it was a real creature or just a mix-up with bears? Well, in 2017, there was finally an update on that research, and it shocked everyone. The tests showed the Yeti is real, but not in the way people imagined. It isn't some half-human monster hiding in the snow. What scientists found was even crazier. Every single Yeti sample they tested turned out to be from rare types of bears: Himalayan brown bears, Tibetan blue bears, and Asian black bears. Here's where it gets wild. These bears don't act like normal bears. They can walk on two legs for long stretches. They're unusually smart, and they've learned how to survive in the brutal conditions of the Himalayas, where almost no other animal can. One of them, the Himalayan brown bear, can stand more than 7 feet tall on its back legs, with reddish-brown fur that perfectly matches old Yeti descriptions. Because they've lived isolated in those mountains for so long, these bears have evolved in strange ways, moving and behaving more like humans than any other bear on the planet. Nature built a creature that looks and acts close enough to a legend that it fooled the whole world. The Yeti isn't a nightmare beast. It's proof of how life can adapt and survive in the harshest places on Earth. So there you have it. The Yeti is real, but it's not the monster we imagined. It's something far more beautiful, proof that our planet still holds incredible secrets waiting to be discovered. So the next time someone talks about a monster hiding in the wild, remember this: many legends turn out to be based on real animals we just didn't fully understand yet. If the Yeti turned out to be rare bears, who knows how many other myths are just real animals we haven't discovered yet. Thank you for watching Tough Life Chronicles. Please subscribe to my channel and maybe leave a like too. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.